What's up, everyone? Welcome to the long video of how crypto is manipulated and basically what can we do to protect ourselves against this manipulation, which I think is even more important than just how it's happening. I'll name at least three of them. There's going to be more, but I want to try and keep this video a little bit on topic. But I think the most three important manipulations and the ones that are most common, um, number one of that is pump and dump schemes. Now, pump and dump schemes, especially if you're new to crypto and you want to try out the more adventurous coins, the smaller coins, the newer coins, pump and dump schemes or rug pools basically are new projects which uh, basically the price skyrockets. And then, right when everybody starts getting into it, like new people like um, you end up buying, and then they just pull the entire liquidity out of a token, or they start massively selling team tokens, dumping the price, and basically you become what is known as a bag holder. You have your crypto left, but the crypto itself will be worthless, so you end up losing all of your money. Now that's usually those are coordinated. Either teams are in on it, or there's lots of influencers or people on the back end that got in way before the coin even launched, and you end up becoming basically a victim of these people. And that's why it's very important to be very wary of this. It's often seen with very low cap tokens. It does happen with bigger projects as well, especially if there's sketchiness around the teams or teams not being docked, etc. I will get into more ways to protect yourself against this in a little bit, but first let's grab the next topic: spoofing. So, spoofing is basically uh, when a project has an open order book, there's basically a lot of fake buy and sell orders being placed. So they can influence the certain indicators, volumes, uh, people seeing massive amounts of sell orders in the order books. People think that there's a lot of shorts going on, so people start shorting. While in reality, it's not really happening. People are just luring people in, and once it happens, they pump the price up rather than down, or the other way around, and people end up being stopped out or getting hit with their stop losses, and basically losing out on their trades or their funds or their equity. Another way where prices are being manipulated. And the third one, which is very similar to it, is called wash trading, especially on smaller coins where traders or team owners or whatever, they use a certain amount of money or tokens, and they use bots to start artificially trading a tokens, basically buying and selling it, which creates volume artificially. And because of that, you're tricked into thinking that the token is actually uh, a very good asset, a very good tradable token. Well, in essence, it's not. It's just the same people buying and selling it, and as opposed uh, to something being really valuable, really wanted by people, it's just the same people trading it. All right, so how can we protect ourselves against this? So I'm going to grab my chart a little bit with this. So this is basically what happened to Bitcoin. Obviously, not one of the smaller ones, but one of the bigger ones. But for this example, it works. Uh, how you can protect yourselves against this? Like, obviously, this was a massive dump. So people used stop losses on this, and I always try to use a stop loss, and I'd always recommend using stop losses. But I think even more important than this is risk management. So a stop loss with a spike like this didn't work. So people ended up going way past their stop losses, and people that had cross margin or their entire trading account or very big trades open, and they got completely wiped by it. Now, some exchanges did recoup some losses for some people, but a lot of people just basically lost out on all of their trading money. So the best way to do this is just not to trade with a lot of money. Always try to stick to protect yourselves, not over leverage yourselves, not use too much assets, use isolated margins. Basically, try and make sure that you do not need to use a stop loss. That even if you do lose, it's going to be a small amount, and then it's okay. It's okay. Like, be prepared. Like, every single bit you trade with, be prepared to lose that. So that is a very important part. Um, Obviously, this is Bitcoin, but when doing this on smaller coins, smaller tokens, stick to high liquidity assets. Don't trade a token where there's no liquidity, where even if you want to sell, you need to take a very high tax or very high slippage. And even if it does sell, you still end up losing money. Another one is to use reputable exchanges. On Bitcoin is a good example. Like I said, stop losses didn't work, or platforms went down and people weren't able to close trades. They couldn't access their funds. So it was a very scary time. But one of the exchanges I use personally, which is called BitUnix, um, they actually recouped a lot of the traders for a full amount, because they were taking responsibility for their platform being down during those high spike times. So yes, their trades closed, but they got their funds back because they weren't able to close them. So an exchange which has measures like that, and it has proof of reserves, and it has adequate funds, adequate stability, adequate customer service, those are exchanges where you want to be using, where you want to be trading, so that you can protect yourself as even an added security measure. Uh, and to add on top of that, try to prefer platforms with regulatory oversights. Basically, a platform that forces you to do KYC is trying to conform to regulations. So any platform that does force you to do KYC is most likely following the regulations, is most likely going to be a safer option. Another very important part to protect yourself against these manipulations is don't trust everything influencers, viral posts, or anyone in crypto or on Twitter basically is saying, screaming, hype driven. Um, Usually, those people are also holding those tokens and are also trying to promote them in order to be able to maximize their profits. So, not always do influencers have the best intentions with you and your funds. So, always try to do your due diligence. Obviously, try to incorporate stop losses, try to protect your funds. If you stop losing money, you will be able to make money. Another very important one, especially on smaller tokens, again, and even on bigger tokens, uh, look at the wallet concentration. Like, if there's only a few people or few players holding massive amounts of the token, which could instantly dump the price or massively manipulate that price by pushing that candle down, like which what happened on Bitcoin. Basically, what's happening here, even here on Bitcoin, like, these massive big sell-offs are big wallets selling a lot of tokens, which will dump the price, which will force the price lower, and it will create lower highs and lower lows alongside of it, because confidence in the project will, or in the crypto, will drop. So if, especially with smaller projects, if there is a few wallets holding the most of it, try to be very careful, because prices are very easily manipulated at those times, and you will end up losing your funds. All right, so that concludes these three manipulations and the best ways to protect yourself against these. And yeah, the best ways to protect yourself against these is always try to use caution, use common sense, stick to these measurements, and try to protect yourselves. And I will see you on the next video, guys.